Okay, live on Instagram, live everywhere. Just going to invite my man to join me. This is a live episode of Going in Deep ahead of a very exciting event next week.
Very true.
Happy days. Very, very exciting. Thanks for joining us. Just getting set up, guys. We're about to record an episode of Ben and Ollie's favourite podcast, Going in Deep.
Going in deep. Just waiting on mine now. On my
Got the pink jacket on from 7L, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles hoodie, got a pink microphone. Feeling vibes.
So I think I've requested there, or can you hear me? Is that come through on Instagram? I think I've requested to join.
Point. Let's see. Visual noise, Mr. Matthew Platt in the building. Right, it must be. Here we go. Yeah, apologies, Ben. I got you. I got you, bro.
There we go. It's funny because it's a delay on the.
Bit of a delay. Just turn the volume down on this one. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, folks. Now that Ben's in the frame, just going to angle that. I'm not going to rest it on my water because I'm going to need that.
I've turned. We're running off a few pieces of tech here, so we're in a way winging this a little bit. I've turned my phone down, so I'm not sure if my I will be audio on Instagram, but we'll wait and see. At least we're recording on the main mics for the podcast. Like Ollie said, this is a live podcast, getting us ready for next week.
Yes.
So I'll let Ollie introduce. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Where do you want to start?
Okay. I think that would be a great way to introduce this podcast. First of all, thanks to everyone who's joining us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. So we're live in a few places. Like Ben said, we've got a very exciting event next week, Thursday, the 8th of Feb. Ben and myself will be recording some live episodes of our podcast, this podcast, Going in Deep at UA92 in Old Trafford, Manchester, which is Gary Neville, class of 92's university, where they do things differently. Ben and I have been there, had a look around, and this will be our first event there. We're going to be working with UA92, working with the students, giving them live shows and Q&As and just having a bit of fun. Really exciting. Oh, huge echo on the Instagram. How do we resolve that? I don't know. That's a shame. I'll tell you what, maybe if there's nothing we can do about that on the Instagram, that's a lot better.
No, I think
sorted it. Amazing. Thank you very much, Paul, Float Therapy, for letting us know about that. Thanks for everyone in the comments, like with your tech support. We got the that's how to do it, isn't it? Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. So I'm just going to repeat that from the top because in case that was like really awful audio on Instagram to listen to. So yeah, we'll be at UA92 next week. If you're not familiar with UA92, it's Gary Neville and class of 92's university, where they do things differently. They focus on giving young adults from kind of underprivileged backgrounds. It's basically Gary Neville's ethos that where they're born, where they live, shouldn't dictate to the success they have in life and where they go, what they go on to do. So they fund the studies and bringing people in to discover what they love. And a big part of it is the personality element as well. Like Gary talks about his experiences at Man United under Sir Alex Ferguson, winning titles, but all about how it's not just the skill, the talent. He said, degrees will get you interviews, but personalities will get you the job. So I'm very excited about this next week. So yeah, we will be doing a live show and we'll be doing Q&As at UA92. So it's going to be fun. So we're going to be recording it. We're going to be able to share that content, but thought we would just come on here and record an episode, warm up really as well, and kind of share what we're excited about. Ben, how are you feeling about that next week?
Yeah, super pumped, man. I'm just looking at some of the comments just to double check the audio is okay. So I've someone, I think it's one of your followers, has just commented saying turn the phones down. So I've turned the phone down and back onto the mic of the computer. Again, if it's coming through pretty bad, drop it in the comments and we will keep adjusting. But yeah, definitely super excited. is going to be an amazing experience to go in and work with, like say, students, and especially from speaking to Megan and Becky, it's around the soft skills. I think Ollie and myself are quite outspoken about the fact that
I'm just going to jump in. So sorry, mate. I'm just going to say to people on Instagram, we'll close that down. If you want to come and watch us live, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Ollie the Chalk My World, or you can view it on LinkedIn or on my Facebook. I'm just going to put that in the comments, and then we'll carry on.
I'll jump out.
Yeah. So I'm going to close that one down on Instagram, guys. If you would like to watch the live episode, we're going to be on YouTube, Ollie the Chalk My World. Or my Facebook. Okay. Or LinkedIn. I hope that helps. I hope you could hear that as well. I'm going to close that one down.
That's what happens when you try to combine 50 pieces of tech and software together.
Well, exactly.
Thankfully, next Thursday when we're at the university, it's all going to be set up for us by tech experts. So
that's it. We can just do what we do best. So, okay. So Matt's here on YouTube. Amazing. Right. So, thanks for bearing with us with the tech problems there, guys. Thanks for joining us on Facebook, on YouTube. Brian, Matt, much appreciated. So, Ben, where were you, buddy? Sorry for that.
No, prefer to get it sorted. So thank you for kind of making that decision to get it on this. I think just touching on the conversation we had with especially Megan and Lucy about them. They don't like the word soft skills, but that's definitely what the university wants to help enhance with the students in terms of confidence, self-belief, in terms of the mindset. All of these, funnily enough, the areas that we've covered for a couple of years now in the episodes that we've done of Going In Deep, and where I was kind of leaning into is obviously myself, and you didn't go to university, as you've rightly said, which I'm going to put it back onto you in a minute to explain. But you've talked about life is like the university of life, and I think that's what we've done. We've gained experience. We've built ourselves to the point we're at now, and we're still learning. But we understand the importance of the educational system at university. But we also understand the importance of the skills that you do attain through life if understood and worked on and learned from, and all these kind of things. So I think that's why they're quite excited to have us down, because we're going to really kind of go into something that they want to kind of bring to their students that not a lot of universities or any kind of setups in the educational system bring. So yeah, super pumped on.
Yeah, mate, it's going to be awesome. So we've got 3 topics and 3 it's 3 sessions, isn't it? 2 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
One of those will be growth mindset. The other will be self-limiting beliefs, and then overcoming challenges. So really kind of 3 powerful topics that definitely really align with the things that we talk about, because these are things that we experience, because we're human beings. Like that's and that's why I think we're passionate about the podcast. You know, we're being open, honest, and hopefully relatable. So that's the big key, I think, when we're at UA 92 next week. It's being relatable to those students. It's hoping that we'll be they'll feel heard, if that makes sense, that whatever they go through, whether that's the limiting beliefs of self-doubt, fear, anxieties, things that are stopping them, really, things that are kind of potentially getting in their way from achieving what they want in life. And you know, Ben and I were always talking about this, and Liam as well, the producer of the podcast. It's all about getting over your fears, and it's not easy because it's a daily challenge. Like confidence is a big thing. It's an amazing thing to have, but it's not like a medal that you just win and achieve and then that's it. You've got to keep on charging that confidence, and that's why we talk a lot about surrounding yourselves with the right people, surrounding yourself with people that believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
Yeah, no, I love it. No, I love it. You're in flow, mate. So I just kind of let you roll. It's, I think it's a great point. Confident, a really valid thing that you said then, which is like it's not a medal. It's not something once you've earned, you have in every area, and it's always going to be there. I think that especially when you're trying to break the mold and do something different, work on yourself, building yourself different area, nerves and fear always surface, and confidence comes from repetition, a word that you love. But again, belief and putting yourself outside that comfort zone a number of times, and yeah, confidence might start to settle, but it's definitely wavered in certain areas. And I think with these, I'm assuming with these students, like they're going into an area that they feel they want to progress in life.
Yeah.
So again, there's nerves there. Like, is this the right area for me? Will I be able to do it? Am I taking in the information? Am I doing it correctly? Like, all of these thoughts will probably start to go through the student's head. But as me and you well know, Ollie, like, failure is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
So expect to fail. But when we fail, we learn from it. What can we take from that, and how can we build off it? Do you know what I mean? I think that's definitely a big one, especially from myself, and I'm sure yourself as well.
I heard a really good quote recently, and it was "fail it till you nail it," and I love that.
Did you post that? I'm sure.
No,
I don't know.
I should do, but I felt like I didn't want to take the credit from the person. It was a guy called Rick who owns the Buzz Manchester, the radio station.
Oh, okay, yeah,
and so it was really good chats, in depth, deep chats with Rick. And he said, you hear the slogan like "fake it till you make it." He said, but I prefer fail it till you nail it, because you almost want to be a bit rubbish at first, and you're never going to progress unless you actually do take the action. And then you get the repetition, you do the reps. You're not going to get the physique unless you've got the, unless you're doing the push-ups. So basically, the push-ups, I guess, in the content creation world is doing the content and doing it badly at first. Like, look at Mr. Beast. I don't know how much you've looked into Mr. Beast, Ben, but he's a massive YouTuber, as everyone will know. If you're listening, guys, in the comments, Matt's just said, I love Rick. Yeah, Matt, you've worked with him. So creative minds all together in one melting pot. But yeah, Mr. Beast, like, his first videos, I don't think they exist anymore, but they were notoriously really bad. And he took a lot of criticism. He started at like 11 years old, though. So, like, he didn't know. He just knew he wanted to make videos. He didn't need to know what his videos were going to be. He just knew that he needed to make videos, and he found his niche, and now he's like a billionaire. So
that's really interesting to hear, because obviously I know of him, and I've seen some of the stuff, and I know he's a big philanthropist now, and invests a lot of the money he earns and all this. So I kind of get a gauge of what he's at, but I didn't know that he started. But it just shows, and I think this is something that Gary Vee talks about so much. Like, it doesn't happen overnight.
Exactly.
And it is a long process, and most people just think it's not working and kind of back off a little bit or give up on the dreams. But again, it's letting them know, if this is your passion and design, you truly want this, just keep chipping away. It's not nice to get knocked or to hit failure, but it's understanding that's a path, that's a stepping stone. It's to keep you moving forward.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's overcoming the fear of being judged, and just keep persisting with it. Like Matt's just said, didn't he count to 1 million, just him sat in his bedroom? Yeah, I think that was one of his YouTube videos.
Are you joking? Like, he just sat there going 1, 2.
Seriously.
Wow.
And people watched it. That's the more crazy thing, isn't it? I don't know what's more crazy.
Matt, do you know how long it actually took him to do that? That'd be interesting to know.
My God.
Wow. Crazy.
Somebody told me, I can't remember the quote now. It's like, how long does it take to count to 1 billion? Because it was like trying to put into perspective, when somebody's a billionaire, how much money that actually is. Wow. And it was like, if anyone can Google this who's listening, let me know in the comments, how long does it take you to count to 1 billion? Because it's like a hell of a long time.
I think most people attention span a drop, won't they? After that's some serious meditation. That.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. But yeah, I love it. I'm really, really excited about next week. Hoping that we've got some stuff to offer these young adults that will go away. Something will have triggered. I know it will for us, for sure.
What I thought was really kind of excited about and impressed with is that this is kind of mandatory for the students, which kind of really meant a lot to me and Ollie. That this is kind of like a CPD, so not necessarily continue learning, but it is something within the curriculum that the students have to go to and attend, because again, it's working on areas that aren't delivered in the educational setting. So for that fact, it's kind of quite a proud thing. It's not like when we first heard, well, especially myself, hoping not speaking for you, Ollie, but when we first heard of like this kind of like the festival kind of going on, we were a bit uncertain what it was all about. And then when we had the meeting and they really explained, like, no, this is going to be delivering something for students, they have to attend, this goes towards marks for the year. I was like, wow. I was like, unbelievable. So
I still can't believe that.
Yeah, so it's going to be obviously they're seeing something within us, and we believe we can. I think this is something we've been hugely passionate about, all because it's something that we believe in.
Yeah.
It's something that we've been through, and it's something that we've seen results from. I think is the big thing. It's like
In our
we're
own
not reading.
experiences.
Yeah, we're not reading from a textbook. We're not read a textbook on overcoming limiting beliefs. We're not read a textbook on growth mindset. Don't get me wrong, we might have read books and heard things,
Yeah.
but what we're actually delivering is the product of that. It's actually Ollie and Ben's journey, and what we hit and what we had to overcome, and when we had a limiting mindset, and when we had a growth mindset, and what did we feel was the difference between the two, and all of these things that can start to help other people kind of think, right, wow. And I think something that we've always stood by, Ollie, in all of the podcasts we've done is, we ain't saying this is the right answer.
Yeah.
But what we are saying is this is how we've taken this term, or we've taken this situation, or whatever it may be, and applied ourselves. And I think that's the beauty of going in deep. It's never, this is the way you should be. This is what this word exactly means. This is the truth, nothing else. It's like, we're not like that. We're like open. If someone comes on and says something that's completely different and we don't agree with it, we're not the type that's like, wow, okay, let's learn a bit more about what you're talking about, because you never know what they might tell you actually changes your own belief. That's it.
I think we're being open to like unlearning certain things as well, and being wrong. We're not kind of saying like, well, this is what I believe. Well, what we are saying is this is what we believe based on our own experiences, and then we might experience something else that conflicts that that kind of opinion, and then we are open-minded to changing our minds. And I think that's the great thing, isn't it, in life, is like being able to change your mind and do something else, or change your perspective on something. It's a powerful thing.
But just to lean into that, because I think that is a really interesting one, because I think sometimes, and everything's kind of got a double header to it, in terms of like, sometimes you do need to be kind of like really zoned in and know the specific outcome you want, and what to do to apply yourself to get it. But that doesn't mean to be one-minded, because like you say, and again, it might, funnily enough, it might be someone that doesn't really have a clue about the area you're going for, but just says a really philosophical, if that's a
philosophical. No, you say
philosophical. Yes, oh man, thank you. I love it. Philosophical sentence, and they might not mean to say it, but it has an impact on how you actually see what you're venturing to do or applying yourself to do. So sometimes, like you say, that aspect of being open-minded and not shut off and receptive, even like you say, if someone says something to you and you don't agree or don't believe it, like, what's the worst thing that's happened? You just listen to something. But if you actually take it on board and think, do I think there's validity? Wow, I'm trying to get the words out today.
I know, it's fine.
Is it valid or is it not? In my opinion, and then you personally, because we're in control of ourselves, get to judge whether you want to apply that and take that, or actually you don't agree with it. But it doesn't mean that there should be any contradiction or confliction with the person.
Absolutely. Different things mean different things to different people. We're all looking at it through our own lens, different lenses, and that's what makes life great. And I think I've shared with you, I've been reading a book called The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, and he says, look for clues. And what he means by that is kind of like look for inspiration. You kind of, sometimes inspiration will find you, but I think if you're looking for inspiration, you're more likely to stumble across something that you can be inspired by or learn from. And just as you were saying that, then it resonated that somebody might say something, they might mean one thing, but you might take something completely different from it, which might be either that you learn something or you just find inspiration from that. So I'm always looking for clues and looking for inspiration. It's all around us at all times, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it kind of fits in. There's something that I've read recently. That's what I love about yourself and me, Ollie. We're always reading or audio books or taking things in, and you can tell it's obviously impacting our lives from the things that we say because of it. But the something that I've read recently, and it's talking about kind of thinking and feeling. And I know we're big believers, yourself and myself, in terms of kind of manifesting, putting stuff out. We've got to think about things and ideas to be creative and to know what we want to go for. But this book was then saying, don't get caught up in the head. You've got to feel. You've got to find that intuition. So once you've done that and sent it out or thought about it and sketched it all down, don't then just linger and get locked into that mind, because that's when the mind can start to get limited, because is this going to happen, or what to do this and it's not done yet, and all these firing thoughts. But if you just send it and then just relax into it and just feel, and get out of the thinking head for a little bit, get into the feeling body.
Yeah.
And like I say, things will just happen. Things just, and that's happened loads of times. Your voice, you know what I mean? Say, hey, Ben, like, you won't believe what's just happened. I've just seen X, Y, Z, or I've just gone into here and this has happened, and that's just allowing life
it
to
is. It's
work
interesting
for
that.
you.
I like that because otherwise you run the risk of your dreams and your goals becoming your biggest problems in your life almost, because you've set your sights on wanting to do something and you're so determined to do it that if it's not happening quickly enough, or it doesn't seem that it might not happen at all, it becomes a problem to you and depresses you and stuff. Whereas if you just think in more of a free way of like, this is what I want, like you say, write it down, tell people, get excited about it, but don't worry if it doesn't happen. It's just, it would be really nice if it did. That's interesting that it can be a block as opposed to being something that you work hard for and enjoy doing.
I think we naturally as humans overthink. If we get stuck in the head, we're always trying to build more thoughts up around it. And again, even if you're a super optimistic person, there's still going to be some slight things pop up in the back of your head, whether it can it, can't it, should I be doing this, should I be doing that, am I doing it right, am I doing it wrong? But it's like, how many of those are you going to listen to before you think, you know what, I'm doing what I need to do for it, or I've got a vision of what it could be, but now I'm just, like you say, going to get out of my head for a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of go forward for it. And it was just a quite nice read to think about that guy, get out of the thinking head, get into the feeling body. And
why is it that why do you think that we do overthink as humans?
Probably goes back just to people talk about this so much, but if you think about a long time ago,
a hunter gatherer,
our main aim was to keep safe, to find food, to keep safe, and to have sex, to reproduce. Like they were the three main things. So I think, and this is why I kind of really like Wim Hof, because he talks about even though a lot of people potentially are against it, if you haven't done a lot of research on it, it's worth doing it and listening to the science behind it and his methods behind it. Because what he's saying is, the primitive part of the brain, most people are reactive. They're not in control of that. So if we're scared, we're scared. If we're panicked, we're panicked. Worried, whatever it may be. That's and people think you can't control that. But what Wim's showing is that you can, by getting into the cold and using his breath. If you can start to keep calm in the cold water, not let it affect you, and start to realize, actually, I'm fine, I'm okay. You start to take control of your nervous system, parasympathetic and sympathetic. So you're actually starting to take control of that part of the brain, which means then in life, if something happens that it usually causes you quite an emotional outburst negatively, you're more in control of that situation. Stress, you can deload it. So when it annoys you can deload it. So it's, do you know what I mean? It's but again, that primitive part's more feeling based. So
absolutely.
That's why when you do the cold, he's talking about let the thoughts go, just let them go. They're not serving you. They're trying to make you panic. They're trying to make you get out of the water, or in life, they're trying to make you do this or that. Actually get away from that and just sink into the feeling and realize you're in control. So if you start to feel angry, start to feel worried, stressed, take control. Calm it down, get back into the body, and then you can start to transition that emotion to something different. And as you know, obviously, from the voice notes you shared when you went in the ice tank, you felt rejuvenated after it. You felt good after it. You transition negativity into positive. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not advocating people to do cold water, but I'm just trying to give an example a little bit deeper around the thinking and feeling.
Do you think that's enabled him to take control of his own mind in a way that he's been able to like manifest events in his life or things that he wants?
I've literally just finished reading his book now, and obviously I've studied him for a couple of years, done his breathing methods, but I read like his kind of biography, if you like, and I think that he's very honest in terms of like he's probably like me and you a little bit. He doesn't plan things because he just wants to go in and let it be what it is. So don't get me wrong, you'll know he has something in place, but he'll just go into it and just, I know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to go in and let my intuition take it.
I love that. We are like that. I'll be like that at U-United too. I won't script it next week really too much.
We struggle,
to find out what happens. You know,
we struggle to script, don't we? But like we know if we script, like I've done it before and tried to read off I think it's called a teleprompter, and I was struggling. I was like a robot. But I was thinking, mate, you know this, so why don't you just pull it out of the way and just let yourself flow.
Speak from the heart.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, definitely I think obviously he's been through a lot. He lost his wife to suicide, and I think that was a big driver for him. But he's very passionate about it. It's all scientifically backed, but it's just really interesting. It backs up a lot of the kind of psychology work that I've kind of studied into. But it's definitely the power of actually being more in control of your brain and your mind. Kind of both of those interlink so closely. But it's very much about kind of getting back into your body, which is what a lot of yoga does, and breath work and stuff like that, and meditation. It just centers us to actually feel rather than think all the time. And thinking's not a bad thing, mate. I think it's just whether is it controlling you, is it limiting you, or is it just causing a bit of chaos? I don't know.
Do we have control of it, or does it have control of us? I suppose, yeah. You know, when you talk about the mind and the brain, and that's something that you've debated on in the past, and we had a wonderful guest on the podcast who was yeah, that's right, neuroscientist, and I know she wasn't in favor of the mind theory, and it was she was more science. So, what's your theory on that now? Or your take on it? You know,
yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think the brain's obviously made up of certain parts, and the neocortex, or the grey matter, is where they feel kind of thoughts come from. Then we've got the primitive and the cerebellum and all these different. That's more kind of subconscious, etc. And from my understanding, it's the networking of the different areas of the brain that start to stimulate thought processes or memories or whatever it may be. Like, we're going to remember doing this podcast now. It's going to sink into a certain part of our brain as a memory. It's also going to give us some perspective in terms of the conversation we've had. So I think the mind is definitely true for myself, because again, we're talking about mindset. So what's your mindset on? So your brain's not saying that your brain's not necessarily set on it, because this could be a good way to explain it a little bit. But again, guys, I'm not saying this is right. I'm saying this is how I've evolved to understand it, which is, if you think about your brain, it can't necessarily just focus in on something, because it's going to have, like you say, certain primitive factors that make you worry about it, or panic about it, feel anxiety about it, or excited about it, motivated about it. It's about that frontal part of the brain where we start to have specific thoughts. Like, can we then, and this is something huge, this is something that helped transition my life a bit, is like, before you emotionally react, can you just take a second and think, am I doing the right thing here? Like, why? Don't get carried away with it, because that's where your mind starts to come into place, and your mind will then start to create whatever it needs to be. And I think it can be a positive or a negative. But I think the mind is the consciousness. It's the if you like, in a way, the free spirit of our body. But again, it's whether you can take control of that, or you can let it control you. So I think that's a big question to, if you're listening now, to ask yourself, like, does my kind of mind control me, or am I in control of my mind? And again, there's no right or wrong to that, because you might say, you know what, I don't want to be in control of it. I just like it to run free. And that's potentially, if you're quite a if you're in a good position, good headspace, good mental space, and you just like the thoughts to flow. But I think if you on the reversal of that, and it's actually causing you a little bit of confliction, worry, and all the other negative things I've talked about, maybe your mind and your thoughts are actually controlling you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, going deep.
Wow, I love it.
We always do it,
going deep. As we do. I read this quote from Tim Ferriss on Threads this morning, and it says 99% of people in the world are convinced that they are incapable of achieving great things, so they aim for the mediocre. The level of competition is thus fiercest for realistic goals, paradoxically making them the most time and energy consuming. If you are insecure, guess what? The rest of the world is too. Do not underestimate the competition and underestimate yourself. You are better than you think. That's quite deep and insightful and thought-provoking. And that's what I like about the Threads app, actually. When I open it up, it's often something that will trigger a thought that will make me want to write something that's in my notes that's kind of like my take or my perception of it. And I just kind of questioned, this is not me statement wise saying this is what it is. I'm just questioning. I feel like we're programmed for mediocre, and we know what we want to do, but we kind of have this paralysis that stops us. We all have to break through our insecurities, and when we do, we break through the paradigm. I don't really know exactly how I can explain that anymore. Breaking through the paradigm was like, we put all these barriers up in front of ourselves, and I don't know why we do that. And maybe it is going back to that hunter-gatherer or it's the mind having control over us, or it's the fact that we worry about judgment, etc. But I think if we can, I don't know, almost like if we're programmed for mediocre, then can we reprogram ourselves for being more than mediocre and being bold enough to kind of strive for more than that?
Yeah.
Where does your mind go with that?
It went, I'm going to be honest, as you were speaking, it went a couple of ways, and I think it's really powerful how you've reframed that and explained it. And just hearing you speak, I think that if you take the hunter-gatherer thing that you said, but you relate it more to this day and age, I think it falls into what you said. I think you've made the third point, which is judgment.
Yeah.
So it's actually the worry of, like, what will I embarrass myself doing this?
Yeah.
Will I come across the right way, or what will these people think, close friends or family, or the wider scale? Like, I think that is more today's hunter-gatherer, because generally, unless in the UK, we're not going to get eaten by a lion or a bear or whatever it may be. So I think you've got to relate more to what are we scared of, like what's holding us back. And I think judgment, I think the worry of others is a huge one, and especially because the power of social media and the attacks and negativity that can be there. I think that is a big one. So I feel that is so. There's two things actually. So I think that's number one.
Yeah.
And me being me, I need to be honest. I think the second one is effort. I think it's people's ability to actually realize. This is going to require effort. Like what Ollie's chasing now requires him daily to put in goddamn work. Like, I know it, because he's always on the go. He's always trying to do something. He's always got ideas, always got ambition. He's always working towards him. That requires so much effort and energy and drive. It's untrue. Even on days when you're unmotivated. Last week you were a little bit run down. But you were still showing up. You reset. You showed up. Like, that's why I also feel people sit into the mediocre and stand, because they aren't prepared to take the step up. It's easier to be on a level of not exerting to too much, and that's why they settle for the mediocre, even though inside, like you say, they potentially want something more.
There's like a default mode.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Which realistically, in a weird way, is as much as we love all the new tech and the gadgets and everything that this world is now creating. People are right. It is making people a lot.
It's distraction.
Less. Yeah, well, not even that. It's just more lazy, mate. It's like we've talked about, like everything's at your fingertips. You can shop online now, get it to your door. You know, everything's been made so convenient in this world. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because I utilize so much of it, but I am saying that it's taken away from walking to the shops or getting out and doing something, or communicating with friends instead of just. And I'm not dissing this because I do it. That's what I'm saying. I'm just highlighting it. Communication is generally done on your phone rather than in person. Like there's a great meme going around on social where there's a load of bikes on the front lawn and said, this is how it used to be when we had to speak to a friend, and it was like all the friends had rode to someone's house to speak to them in person. Do you know what I mean?
So, that's how it was. That was the only way. It's so, funny when you think about it. I'll let you can read that from Matt if you like, but just thinking back to what you were saying there about kind of how we've become lazy, and we've gone from being like hunter-gatherers, going out with the spear, catching the prey and taking it back, cooking it, like all that effort that was involved, prehistoric man, and then gradually got to the point where, okay, we go to the shop, we got to walk to the shop, and then it's like we've got Deliveroo now, so we don't even need to do that, and we don't even need to cook anymore because we've got Just Eat, and then it's like you say, we don't need to go and meet our friends to socialize, we just open the laptop. Which requires effort. So it's more like, hey Siri, open my laptop.
Well, just and the thing with it is, all like, me and you utilize all of this. So again, we see, and we are progressing as a nation, as a world. We're evolving, and hopefully we're evolving now to save the world as much as we were destroying it. So so I just think I just, in my opinion, it's not necessarily utilizing everything to stay in a position that, like you say, is kind of standard. I can't remember how Tim Ferriss expressed it, but it's actually thinking about everything that we've got on our fingertips and thinking, no, how can I use this to move forward? How can I use all of this tech or whatever it may be to now kind of push on? And I think, going off Matt's comment, which I think is really good.
Definitely, I love that.
And he's just like saying, like, sometimes the shit you create might not be great, but you learn for it the next time. And I love his last line, which is, I think the process is a bit thing. Work out your own process. So I might have read that wrong, Matt, but
Yeah.
I think I know what you mean, which is you've got to learn your own way of doing things. You've got to learn, like I say, there is a right way of doing something, but when you come along, if you're clued up on it, you might have a better way that's more.
Oh, big thing. So yeah, I get what he's saying. That it's like you work out your own process. You don't need, you could look at someone else and think that's the way they work and try and work in that way, and that's not a bad thing, because you've got to like fail it till you nail it. So you could look at someone and go, I'll try that. It doesn't work for you, but you got to refine it through repetition and work out what your process is. And I think I've only just started to realize that my process is that I really do have to be consistent, and I do have to be accountable. And it's those things, when I'm consistent, when I'm accountable, I'm consistent. When I'm consistent, it makes me happy. And when I'm happy, I'm more creative. When I'm creative, I think more ideas, and the ideas lead to more action. So it's like I'm working out my own process, and Matt will have his and you'll have yours. And I love how Matt said that the shit you create might not be great, but you learn for the next time. So the most important thing is to take action. So Matt likes making videos, like I like making chocolate, and I like making videos. So just do it. And it doesn't have to be the best thing ever. But if you don't do it, then you don't learn, do you? You've got to almost like do it, watch it back, go, oh yeah, that was cool, or oh, that could have been better. And if you take some feedback from people, and it just gets better over time. If you didn't put it out there in the first place, you didn't make it, you're never going to learn.
No, I couldn't agree more. You're going to have to listen back to the recording, because there's about a 30-second bit there where you were rhyming, mate. It was like, honestly, it was like amazing. It was like really good. And you were just spitting out words. I was like, wow, that's
I'm beginning to feel like I'm a rapper.
After check the time, please listen back to that. See if Liam can drop it to a beat.
Yeah, let's see if we can do that. Get some music producers on it. Get Jay Cactus on it.
But I think that's the. But I think this is the power of what we can bring to, again, like linking it back into UA92.
Yeah.
Because I think it relates to anyone. It's just amazing that these students are actually going to start to learn about it now, because unfortunately, I learned about it later in life. And all these essential skills, like, were obviously still there, but I just didn't know how to capitalize on them or understand them more. I think that your journey in terms of work, like you've expressed, like you worked in your family shop from a young age, so you've had to deal with customers and communication. You've probably had things that have gone wrong. I love the post. I think I've highlighted this before, but the post you put on about your first ever knocking on that door.
Yeah.
And you feared and wanted to run, but you overcame that and look where you are now. So I think, like, do you know what I mean?
It's true. Yeah. Those moments, the things that make you, like the hardest parts. Like you say, when you were talking then about me doing the first party, knocking on the door, hoping that no one answers because I'm absolutely terrified. And I don't really know what I'm going to do because I'm completely winging it. When it's like being in the chocolate shop and like someone comes to collect their order and you see them and you know straight away you've not done it because you've not written it down. You thought you'd remember it and you didn't, or you've put it on a piece of paper and you've lost a piece of paper or whatever. And we used to have what we called it the cringe corner. So basically it's like if someone came in to ask for their order and you know that you've not done it, you go into what we call the cringe corner. And it was like an automatic, I'll just go and have a look for it 1 minute, and you just go and stare at the wall for a minute and think about how you're going to go and tell them that you're really sorry and that you've not done it. So you just basically go to the cringe corner, take a deep breath, and then you go back in and go, oh, I'm so sorry. Just what happened is, and you try and explain it, say, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to resolve this. Where do you live? I'm going to do this for you immediately. I'll have it done within the hour. I'll drop it off you. If they lived, I'd take it wherever. You just got to do it. So it's almost like those moments of utter cringe, despair. You've messed up, but you learn from it.
Isn't it interesting though? Like, I love that whole process. Love your honesty in it, but that cringe corner, was actually a space for you just to compose yourself, and go and do what you needed to. Do you know what I mean? So it's funny as it is. You actually had a really good process.
True. It is a process.
You do forget things, so you create a process where you could just compose yourself, approach the person again, and like say, just calm down a bit. Say, listen, I'm really sorry, X, Y, Z. So
I think it lets them calm down a bit as well, doesn't it? It lets them think for a moment that it might not be ready. And so, yeah, that's funny how we have these processes.
So in terms of life at this minute in time, where are you? Obviously, I know this, but I think it'd be quite nice for the listeners to kind of understand where Ollie is. Like, I think the last
Yeah.
podcast we probably kind of touched upon it, and it's been quite a bit now before we've done this because we've both been busy. It's been Christmas and New Year and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we talked about UA92, but I know you're kind of firing at the minute with everything that you've got going on. So where's Ollie at, my man?
Thank you for asking, my friend. It's very kind of you to give me that opportunity. Yeah, I feel that I'm in a very exciting place creatively at the moment.
Nice.
I think I'm sat now in my studio, and I'm been in here creating content every week. I've been working with Compton. He's been coming and filming me doing like tutorials and stuff, and that's the accountability that I'm talking about. So if I'm booking him in for a Wednesday, he's coming in. I'm like, right, I've got to be ready to record. If I just book myself in and think, right, I've got to make a video on Wednesday, I'll get to Wednesday and I'll be like, oh, something happened to react to something, and I'll do that video tomorrow, and then it never happens. So that's, I think, why probably for a while I wasn't really using the studio like I should.
Yeah.
And I want, this is what I want. It's like, I don't want the mediocre. I don't want to just settle for not doing the videos and not doing the content and just being, mediocre. And I know that I feel that I've got a lot to offer. I feel that I've got a lot of ideas that I feel could be good. And if I can turn those ideas take those ideas from my notes in my phone into being a piece of content, I feel that could have an impact positively, and it could lead to further opportunities for me. And I think that's what I'm really excited about at the moment, is that process of taking the idea and turning it into something. So at the minute, we're kind of just like building a bit of a back catalog portfolio, if you like, of a body of work, all the tutorials, and doing kind of like the basic, but it's fun, it's cool. And I think as time progresses, we'll start to get a little bit more creative and hopefully creating wild stuff and viral stuff. But so far with YouTube, I'm really happy with the way it's moving along. So I think it's having making the time to be creative, to do the content for YouTube, and then I'm excited to see where that can lead, because it has led to a couple of interesting conversations with people already, brands and stuff like that. And
Nice.
I'm hoping that it will lead to more TV work and balancing that with the business. So you know what it's like. You got your gym and your B1 mindset business as well. And I'm passionate about both my chocolate party business and my content creation side, but it's trying to keep the balance between the two. But for the start of the new year, I felt like I kind of hit the ground running, because at the end of last year, I kind of felt like I'd worked out what I wanted to do. And now I'm just like determined not to let any self-doubt get in the way. Sometimes the thoughts, is this really a good idea? Is anyone really interested? I'm just like, no, do it. And we'll just find out. And that's what I'm excited to do, just to find out. So, yeah.
I love it. That last part kind of epitomizes everything again that we're going in to deliver. I think that to show where you're at in terms of stature and things you're kind of working towards, to still feel like you say and have those thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the truth, what always comes across with yourself is the passion. I think that whether it's chocolate or content creation or Ollie Dunn being Ollie Dunn, you're passionate about that. Do you know what I mean? You're doing it for yourself, not in a selfish way. You're doing it for yourself because you love it, and that just the charismatic aspect that comes across. Do you know what I mean? And the content creation's awesome. I was really impressed about how, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, because you've always been good at content creation, but in the space of a year or year and a half, how good you got at kind of doing. I know you've got someone in now to it, and I love the accountability aspect of it.
Yeah.
But you've come on so much in terms of just creating your own content. We talked about this in previous podcasts, like putting music to it, different spins, different ideas. It's exciting.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that, mate. And I think I've got to also remind myself that I need to make my own content as well. And I enjoy doing that. It's a different way of doing it. When I come in to make my own content, I'm on my own. I've got to really take ownership of it, think about the camera angles, whether I'm doing voiceover, what music, etc. But I do love that process. I've got to be in the right mindset to do that. But I think if I'm doing the regular stuff that I'm accountable to, I'm showing up for that, then I'm more likely to create my own content, and I'll probably create that more. There's less pressure on it. It's kind of like if I create my own content, it's a bonus. So I'm also really excited about that, because then I start to show a little bit more variety in the style of the content, but also, like you say, showing it's the chocolate side, but also showing the Ollie side as well. I think that's why I'm really excited about UA92 next week. It's obviously our first live event for Going In Deep. It's almost like so in that respect, it's a milestone for us both personally and with Going In Deep. And hopefully it's the first of many, but it's kind of nice that we're still doing it. It's been like a few years, and episodes can sometimes be distanced apart, but there's still we're still consistent with it, even if there are gaps. We're still there. We're still passionate about it.
We've always talked about Going In Deep being bigger than the podcast, though. It's like, it's the energy. It's what it is. Like I say, Going In Deep behind the scenes is us communicating. It's bouncing ideas. It's having a space to be able to speak to someone or voice note someone that is going to support you or isn't going to be judgmental, or is going to give you their honest opinion. Like you said stuff to me, or I said stuff to you, and like I'm not going to be offended. Like, just what's your honest opinion? And that's whether it's on air or off air. Like that's the power of it. And I think that's what comes across. I was reading some of the reviews for Going In Deep. Ollie sent them across to me because I hadn't actually seen them, and you can really tell that people feel we're being real representations of ourselves when we talk, and I think that's the beauty of Going In Deep, and I think that's something we want to deliver to the students as well with GID, and just and even I think the female that I know, and she said, I've seen Ollie and Kim in the supermarket, and I heard his voice, and I thought, sure, that's Ollie off Going In Deep. She approached me, she said to me, he was so nice. He was just as he is on the podcast. And I said, honestly, that's all. Like, he's just all is all. Like, it's not like we come in here and we're like, right, we need to be this, we need to be that. It's like, no, like, let's just be raw and honest and
be ourselves.
Again, people will resonate, people won't.
God, I'd be exhausted trying to put on an act all the time. It's exhausting enough.
100%.
But no, it's great. It's not exhausting. I actually get a lot of energy from it. Like, this will propel me into the day. I'm conscious about time because it's 4 minutes past 11. I know that you've got stuff to do.
Going to shoot in a minute. Yeah, I've got a bit of duties today on the Friday, getting ready.
Yeah,
and then over to the gym later on. So
I wanted to ask you about you, or because you kind of, I always say, Ben, where are you at? But have you got a shoot?
I appreciate it. Like I say, I'm in a good position. I think it's very much relatable to yourself, just in different areas. I think the gym, coming into our 9th year now, and it's doing so well for us. And we're just kind of working an online program for that. At the same time, you brought up B1. B1's made some huge transitions over the last year into a community interest company for Stockport and Greater Manchester. And we've had some real progressive forward steps with that. And then on top of that, like you say, still trying to deliver, helping people within mindset and self-development, more through B1 now or just on social, and just being creative with that and training, cold water, breath, mind, just trying to live what I live. And if I'm honest with you, Christmas was a very quiet time with the missus and my lad, but I did drink a bit at home. So I wanted to reset in the new year, and it's been a real reset, positive one, and everything's kind of looking good. But again, a lot of effort, a lot of things going on. A lot of people don't, as you always say, people don't see behind the scenes what's going on, and we're juggling, having a kid.
You're always on the go. You say I'm on the go. You're always busy, and you're always productive as well.
That's what we do.
You're working on yourself, but you're working on your businesses, and you're being a dad. And give yourself a pat on the back, mate. I'm gonna give you your own advice. You give to me. You got to do it now and again.
But we're not, mate. We're not settling for mediocre, are we?
No.
We're going
up. Keep moving on up. Yes.
But I'm gonna have to shoot now, guys. So thank you for tuning in and listening.
Yeah, mate. Thanks for recording with me today. It's always a pleasure Going In Deep. Loved it. Best of luck today. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks for listening, guys. Week, mate. Cheers, all my brother.
Cheers, bro. Bye, guys. Peace,
bye,
love. Bye, bye.